Hey YouTube, this is Orion making another vid. If you like my content, please consider hitting the like button. Also, please consider subscribing, as it is very much appreciated. This is my overview of the Cold Steel Outdoorsman MaiIII. The Cold Steel Outdoorsman MaiIII is one of Cold Steel's premium fixed blade knives. See below in the description bar for the rest of the stats on this knife. I'll preface this with the fact that this was, along with the Trail Master and the Master Hunter in the MaiIII versions, as probably being one of my grail knives. I have long wanted one of these knives, and Cleavers here in Brisbane had them on special for $200 Australian, $200 Aussie, and I couldn't pass it up at that price, so I ended up buying one, and I'm glad I did, because they were more expensive in the past. I had seen them for like $300 and $400. Well, that did seem like a lot of money to me previously. I've paid a lot more now for knives, and $300 for a fixed blade knife doesn't seem that much to me these days. And $200 for a fixed blade knife doesn't seem that expensive now to me at this stage in my life. So I ended up buying it. Anyway, and I'm glad I did, because I had long wanted one, and they are an iconic knife for Cold Steel. And they're perfectly suited to exactly what I wanted it for, and which is a medium belt knife for hunting. And that's what Cold Steel markets them towards. And this is what I'm going to use it for. I will not be using it for bushcraft, even though it probably will be used for that. It could be used for that. It is my hunting knife. This is what I'm going to use for if I ever do go back out hunting again. This will be my belt knife for hunting. Up close. It's in the MaiIII, which is a laminate. You can see here the laminate line. It's quite well done. It is a little bit wavy, but overall it's not too bad at all. I will say my Trail Master's a little bit better, but this is still perfectly adequate. It's pretty hard to get that laminate line perfect, but they did a pretty good job of it. The inner core of the laminate is VG1, and the outer layers, there's two outer layers of it, is 420J. They have changed it now. This is the MaiIII version. These are made in Japan. They have changed it now. These are discontinued. The MaiIII now, they've dropped the 3-part. It's MaiIII, it's VG10, and as far as I know, it's still 420J on the outside. The MaiIII is made in Taiwan, and they come with a Kray-ex sheath. The Japanese ones all come with this leather sheath, and they do say Japan on the outside. And if you notice, it does actually say made in Japan on there, and VG1 MaiIII on there with the Outdoorsman. A little bit of billboarding. Okay, it's got an over moulded Kray-ex handle, full tang, with these stainless steel bolster and a pommel pommel cap. Has this side jimping. It's very unusual, actually, if you notice. It's cut into the side. It's really effective there. There it is in the hammer grip. Quite generous handle. Fits my hand really well. Plenty of room left on it. But this jimping, it's effective, but it is quite aggressive if you go over to the side. I've never seen it done on any other knives the way they did it. But it is quite aggressive on the side there, but it's not too bad and effective if you come up onto it like that. Also has this bone breaker, and I have found it is quite sharp. You have to be careful, because the idea of that is to save your edge. As you're breaking a piece down, you can use that there to break the bones up, and that saves your edge, so you don't chip out your edge. But it's almost as sharp as the edge itself, so you got to be careful you don't go up onto it and end up cutting yourself. But thankfully it is quite far enough away from you there, so and the only thing I miss on it, but thankfully the blade isn't long enough that it doesn't have a lanyard. But with this size knife, I would not have put a lanyard on it anyway, but it doesn't have a lanyard hole. As I said, it's made in Japan. The new ones are made in Taiwan. Has a really nice heavy leather sheath. I did note the belt loop doesn't fit. I usually have a 2-inch belt loop, but with the 2-inch belt loops, the buckles don't go through there very well. So this doesn't really work for me. And also, when I got it, there was some separation here, so I had to re-glue it. It also marks up pretty easy. I did that on the first night. My fingernail scraped it, but it perfectly suits the knife. Oh well, but all of them came with this, all the MaiIIIs come with this type of leather. And I will note, they actually shipped it in the leather, which was unusual, because I've got a few of the cold steel knives, and they normally don't come shipped in the leather sheaths, and it actually marked the Kray-ex, which was a little bit disappointing, because when I get a brand new knife, I want it to be pristine. I want it to be brand new, but it did have some wear marks. Obviously, it'd been sitting in the sheath for a long time, so it did have some wear marks on the Kray-ex. But I'll never be selling the knife. It's in my permanent collection, so that doesn't matter. So it'll get wear marks on it from me using it, because it's not a safe queen. I haven't used it much at the moment. I've cut some paper with it and done a little bit of food prep with it. cleaned it off, obviously, but yeah, I would have preferred them to ship it separately. Should have had they normally have a cardboard cover over it, wrapped it in bubble wrap, and shipped it separately. But this was actually in the sheath, then in the box. So that was how it came. As I said, it was a grail knife for me. I bought it on special from Cleavers for $200. I do see that they are selling the new ones now for just over $200. So that seems to be their price now. It's typical beautiful fit and finish for the Japanese versions of cold steel. The Japanese cold steel knives are beautiful. Like, they are really well fit and finished. They are near perfect. Everything is done so well on them. They are close to flawless. The grinds are almost perfect. The laminate, as I said, the laminate line is almost perfect. It is a little bit wavy in some spots, but it's very hard to get that, like up near the tip here. It's a little bit wavy, but it's very hard to get that almost perfect. Yeah, it's just typical Japanese done. The Japanese ones are really well done. Okay, the pros for this knife: it's an iconic cold steel blade, Japanese quality. When you're buying the MaiIII Outdoorsman, it's an iconic cold steel product. It's just a beautiful knife for me, in my eyes, and it was a grail knife for me, so I'm very glad I bought it. You're also getting a quality leather sheath. It's very well done. Fits the knife perfectly. I did have some issues with it, but it took me about 3 seconds with a bit of glue, and I fixed it up. It was just a little bit of separation here where it had come apart. It was neither here nor there. It's hardly worth mentioning. But once you put it in, it's it does. And a normal belt will go through there. I just tend to wear 2-inch belts. My hunting belt is a 2-inch belt that I put on there because I tend to have a couple of magazine pouches, and I have the main belt and fire kit and my possum's bag, and I tend to carry a fair bit of crap around when I'm hunting, so I tend to have the 2-inch belts. I like hanging a lot of stuff off it, so yeah. And it looks very traditional, like that's its other pro for me. And the only con I can see about it is it's discontinued, but it's not really, because this one is the MaiIII is, but they have, thankfully, bought it out in another version, but they have changed the steel. They've swapped it from VG1 to VG10. And I really don't know if that makes a difference or not. The difference between VG1 and VG10, you'd have to look that up as to what the difference in chemical compositions of those steels are. I don't think there is all that much difference in them. I think it might have just been supply issues or something to do with that. But anyway, that's my overview of the Cold Steel Outdoorsman MaiIII, one of Cold Steel's iconic knives. I couldn't see how you could be disappointed if you bought one. And they are still selling them, but you will find that these ones, the MaiIIIs, are starting to become a lot more difficult to get. But you can get the Mai version, but they aren't made in Japan, they're made in Taiwan. I don't know the difference between that is either. I haven't actually handled the MaiIII version, but I have contacted Cold Steel about, because they come with a Kray-ex sheath. I contacted Cold Steel about getting a Kray-ex sheath for this one, because I was going to get I wanted a Kray-ex sheath for it, for this knife, and they said it will fit this knife. So if they ever do sell the sheaths separately, apparently I've gone on a list for it. So hopefully they will send me out a Kray-ex sheath, and I'll be able to put this knife in a Kray-ex sheath and go from there. But anyway, that's my overview of the Cold Steel Outdoorsman MaiIII. Thanks for watching.